All right, so welcome back to Flutter Programming class. So in today's class, we're going to look into how to publish your backend. All right, not publish your application because when you want to publish your application, there's also a method that you need to follow to publish your application because as you can see, our application here still contain a lot of problems. Okay, you can see there. Uh, if you want to publish later on, you need to solve all the problems, all this problem first, and then remove anything that what we call as a debug information before we can start publishing the application, releasing the application to Google Play Store. But that is not what this topics is all about. Uh, for this topic, what we need now is a web hosting because our server, our application before this depend heavily on this backend or local host backend. Uh, Definitely, localhost backend can help in terms of development, so there's no doubt about it. But there's a lot of problem with that because you need to follow all the required steps to be able to use your XAMPP. Make sure your XAMPP service is on. Turn on the library. Turn on all the services. Make sure that your IP address is correct, and you can only run within a small same network configuration. All right. But for today, we're going to look how to publish your backend so that you're no longer bounded to XAMPP. Okay. So which means that turn your application alive, and then we're going to simply change one line of code here. Like for example, this is the one line. So that's why we need this config file. Okay, so this config file basically just one line of code, and then your application will change from depending on local host configuration to a true web server. All right, so you can see here, my web server is now slumberger.com/mypasa v2. So this is the server directory that I'm currently hosting this application. All right. So how do we do that? So the first thing, definitely you need to get yourself a web hosting. All right. So here, not my favorite web hosting, but I've been with JomHosting for a very long time already. And now even with this, they didn't support actually for 4K screen resolution. You can see that the text is all messed up here and there. But yeah, this is basically one of many web hosting, server hosting available out there. There are many Exabyte, GoDaddy, and IP Server One. There's so many of them out there, and there are so many services and also packages available for you to choose from. But so far, based on my reading or based on my finding and research and testing, because I test first, okay, I see their value, even though they are not the best in terms of performance, in terms of reliability in a way, or in terms of customer service, because somehow the customer service can be really bad. But due to the cost for the web hosting, I think I can tolerate that. Okay, I've been with JomHosting for almost 13 years, 14 years, I believe, and so far it's okay. Not the best hosting, but okay with the price. So you need to get one web hosting. So I've talked about this before. So usually for you, I would suggest for you to take the shared hosting plan. Okay, and you can start by ordering now. Again, I don't have any anything to do with them, but I just like their service in a way. So you can choose with your friend 2 GB version. The reason is that because of this. this, and this. Okay. So for development purposes, you need a lot of SQL database and email and also subdomain if you share with your friend, because you can just create multiple subdomain from there. Um, However, you are limited to only 2 GB of online storage. My version is this 5 GB. So, but I have to pay 90 ringgit yearly. But yeah, not much money actually there, 90 ringgit. But however, you have to bear in mind that you have to pay for domain name. Okay, so you can buy you can buy just a web hosting, but it's going to be very difficult um, without domain name. So if you want to buy, you need to order this, and you can share with your friend, and you need to look for your what do you call it? If you put an order now, you need to search for your domain here. All right, so this is also important. Okay, so when you want to choose for a domain, make sure that you choose domain that is close to you, okay, or to your group, and easy for you to, and also not that expensive. And usually .com not that very expensive, okay, compared to others. Like for example, if I want to check again my domain, which is lumberjee.com, check, you can see that the domain is already registered with us, so you need to cancel it prior to placing new order, because I already registered with JomHosting, so they will check this, the domain is with them. But if I want to buy .net, .online, .asia, .my, .com, .my, .org, .biz, you can see the pricing here. Okay, so .net a little bit expensive, .online very expensive, .asia, .my is not available. I'm not quite sure. Maybe they are not. They cannot manage .com, .my. Before this, they do. .org, okay, .org seems to be a little bit pricier, but this one only for, but you need to have what do you call it, organization to be able to register with .org, and .biz. You need to have a business to be able to register with business, .biz. All right, so usually .com is the cheapest. So if you try like Slumberger, ABC, just check. Okay, so the domain usually available. For mobile application, the domain name is not that very important, because the domain name is being hidden from user when user run the application. But for the web application, definitely you need to make sure that your domain is sensible to the application that you are developing. So here you can see like .com is only 48 ringgit 99 cents, which is 49 ringgit, 50 ringgit at least. Okay, so combined with 50 ringgit, you have 100 ringgit to pay. All right, but again, I have to stress this. This is not a compulsory. This is just another, if you have extra money, you want to learn about web hosting, you want to learn about real web hosting, and all the quirk of web hosting. So this is one of the platform that you can use and learn. All right, so turn this into an investment. Don't think about this is a waste of money. This is just another investment for your learning. Okay, so you learn about this, you can share with your friend, and then together you can work on the same domain. All right, so make sure that your domain is sensible to your group or even to you before you apply for this. Okay, so usually it took take 24 hours or less than that for your domain to be aggregated and registered with the domain registry. And within 24 hours, you should be able to use your domain already. And once you registered with the hosting provider, you can always go back to your account. For example, here, log in. All right, so this is my account. And under my account, there's a number of other domain that I manage for company, for businesses, for research project. Okay, so as I mentioned before, they are not perfect. I do open a lot of ticket before because some problems when they're upgrading their service, they didn't let me know. So those are the things that can be um, work that you need to learn. All right, how to manage all this because you're going to have problems. You're going to have but don't come to me. Okay, I'm not the owner of this JomHosting. You have to go to them, talk to them. The best way to talk to them is through their Facebook, not here. That's what I've learned so far. You go to their Facebook and then talk to them through their messenger, and they will always reply that within 1 hour less or less. Okay, they try to solve your problem, and then you let them know your domain name, your account, and whatnot, and then they should be able to solve your problem quickly from there, not from here. I've learned that the hard way. Even though you open a ticket, nobody look into the ticket actually. So that can be something to look for, right? Okay, so once you have your domain, your service ready, you can just log into your service. Let's say mine is here, the 5 gig version. So the 5 gig version, once you enter the service, so this is the service that are available to me. So at the moment, my domain already use 66%, but actually there's a lot of rubbish file here. So I might need to do some cleanup later on. But as you can see, from 5 gig, I already used up 66% out of 5 gig. But the bandwidth not so much because even though they provide you like with large amount of bandwidth, sometimes it's just a text file, so not that very much unless you have thousands and thousands of user, and then you should worry about that. Okay, so that's why I said before that application development comes with cost, and definitely with your back-end services, this is cost. If this is not enough, you need to buy higher up service. Okay, so that what it is. So usually when you have this, uh, you do have a number of what we call a C panel, the control panel. All right, so the control panel given to you, like for C panel here, I'm used to C panel. All right, I'm not used to the other type of panel. So if you choose to use web hosting that using cPanel, so I can help you with. But if you choose others that don't use cPanel, they do have some other panel, S panel, something like that. So I'm not quite sure their panel, but they do have different panel. For cPanel, like for example, my panel here, I can just go straight to my cPanel. So my cPanel look like this, right? So they do look like this, and the way that all the services are provided through this C panel is like this. I can straight away go to any part of the UI or a menu or whatever functions that I want to do. I'm used to this panel. Okay, so if you use different type of panel, I have no idea where certain functions rely and how to change this, how to change that. So that is not, I'm not, because I'm not familiar with it. All right. So if you, but here they asked me to upgrade already because I'm so used to this. I don't want to change to a different team. So they asked me to change to Jupyter, but I'm not going to do that just yet because I'm used to this already. The right side of this C panel here contain your server information. So as you can see, those are basically my server information. And down here, the statistic of my server. As you can see, the disk usage basically consists of this percentage now. My SQL is only just text. So it's quite small, 7 meg only. But unless if you use blob image and you dump into your database, this is going to eat up a lot, very fast. Bandwidth, not so much. And I'm allowed to have add-on domain. Okay, but I didn't set any add-on domain. Add-on domain means that you can set your front name. Like for example, my domain is slumberger.com. Let's say the front name mypasar. So I can use mypasar.slumberger.com. Something like that. Okay. Subdomain is at the back. Okay, usually subdomain should be no problem because you can have unlimited subdomain. But add-on domain usually limited to, for my subscription, only 10. MySQL database unlimited, FTP account also unlimited, email also unlimited. So another quirk of having your own web hosting is that you can have your own email. Okay, like for example, like mine, slumberger.com. So I can have hanis@slumberger.com. So you can check your email, you can create your email, and then you can use that email as your own email, and then you can portray yourself as a company owner. Okay, like Ahmad Hanis or Hanis at slumberger.com, which means that I am part of that slumberger.com company, a .com company. All right, so that is another part of having your own web hosting, and then you can manage your own email account and whatnot. So you can see there down here, there's an email account there, track delivery, email filter, routing. So those all the things that you can manage through your own email service. Okay, and this is what required when later on we deals with email notification. Okay, like OTP notification, you definitely need this. You can use Google, but you need to loosen up your Gmail account to quite low. Okay, so the security there will require for you to turn down a lot for Gmail. But here, since you already have your own email, because this is as MTP email service, so you can create your email on the fly, whatever email that you want, all can be created here. All right. Yeah. And FTP also, if you're familiar with FTP, you can just use FTP, Win, for example, Win FTP, or even the default FTP application. You can, there's so many things you can do here. You can create, you can see here, you can create WordPress, Joomla, Abante Card, which is eShop account, PHP Laravel also, you can develop application Laravel here, OpenCart, you can create your eShop. There's so many things that you can do here. Okay, but this one, because I think because of full 4K, you can see there, Laravel, OpenCart, Concrete, Gallery, PWGo. So those kind of service, project, ERP, framework, education, DB tool, file manager. You can create all these things also automatically by using this service. E-commerce. You want to create your own e-commerce shop? It's already there. You just do the installation and then you can use your own e-commerce. Before this, I do have this. I do have an e-shop company way back like 10 years ago for selling RC products, remote control products. And it's quite success also. Okay, during that time, there's no Shopee, there's no Lazada and whatnot. So only Lelong, and that's it. And then eShop also very new, and people use. I'm very known in what we call in the RC universe. So people believe me and they buy through my eShop. So I learned a lot from there also. Right. So yeah, Python, you can also develop Python apps here. Okay, set your Python Node.js also. If you want to learn about Node.js, you can set up Node.js application here. Python apps, Ruby also, Ruby on Rail. You want to learn Ruby, Perl, Pair, PHP Pair. There's so many things that you can, and even if you're familiar with terminal, you can run terminal. Okay, this is for those who like to learn about server management, and definitely you need to learn terminal. Okay, command prompt, Linux, Bash script. So those kind of skills that you need to have for managing server. All right, so enough about that. So now let me talk about our application. All right, so for our application, what we need now is to have the first thing here is file manager. All right, so the file manager here basically consists of all the files in your 5 GB, in my case, 5 GB of storage. For the web folder is inside or in this public HTML. As you can see here, there's already a lot of files in this directory. Okay, since this is old old project that I have, old file, so many things already there. So that's why you can see there's so many things already in here. But for the MyPasa application, so the MyPasa application, as you can see, there's an old backup for MyPasa. So the MyPasa application, I've created new folder for that, which is the application folder equivalent to XAMPP htdoc directory. So the MyPasa is here, this folder inside the public HTML. So you need to create a new folder called MyPasa v2 or any names that you want for your application folder. So inside here, you can see that the files basically the same. The folder basically the same with your XAMPP directory. So let me open up my XAMPP directory. So if you go to your XAMPP directory, this is basically the same. Okay. So go to your htdocs, right? So your, XAMPP, and then htdocs. So this is basically equivalent to this folder. Okay, equivalent. The public HTML is htdocs in XAMPP. Okay, the same. So anything that you put inside here will become alive. Okay, can be accessed anywhere around the world because this is the server directory. So there's a folder inside here, MyPasa v2. So as you can see, they are very similar. Okay, except that I already zip here because I uploaded the files to the server by using zip. Okay, so the file basically the same. So the way that I do this, basically I just zip these two files and then upload to this directory here. Okay, upload. You just drag and drop, drag and drop, and then the file, like for example, like this one. Okay, so if I put it, upload there, you can see there, mypasa.zip. So when it turn green, should be ready to view. Right, so let me just close that because multiple file. You can see there's a mypasa.zip there. So if I click on this, extract, but because the file, I already changed the file, I don't want to do that. So if I extract here, it will automatically extract all the files that I already zipped these two into this folder. So that's where you get your all the folder easily uploaded to the server directory. So now you have those two files. So these two files now is basically accessible through slumberger.com, MyPasa v2. Okay, MyPasa v2 over there. But definitely if you straight away give access to that particular directory, and this is definitely automatically forbidden because I set the directory to be forbidden to be accessed directly. This is just for security purposes. Okay, disable any indexing to your web hosting. That is very important. You can disable that from your public HTML. Oops, sorry, not here. From your public HTML, access your public HTML, manage indices, and here set to no indexing. Okay, you don't want to index any of the folder inside your public HTML because if you do that, the directory basically available in here. User can see the directory and they can access the file, all the file, the content of your web server basically available. So don't turn on indices, okay? Don't turn on that into your web hosting, for your web hosting. Do that, right? All right, so going back to MyPasa v2. So now you've prepared your directory server and definitely you need to update this. Now you can use this as your server directory, your application server directory, and together you can use HTTPS because JomHosting also provide free HTTPS service. Okay, so now your communication is basically much more secured. Okay, by using HTTPS compared to just HTTP unsecured web access or access. All right, so just change here, save back, and then, but definitely the application won't work just yet because we don't have our database ready yet. You have your server, you have your application directory ready, but you don't have your database. Okay, so but before that, you need to go to your PHP my access, my PHP folder, and you need to change this only this one file here. Okay, this DB connect, because by default, your database connector, they use localhost and root as information. Okay, so you need to make sure that you open this file before you created or develop new database. Okay, right? So once you have that, okay, you open this folder, because you can just edit the folder directly from your file manager. You can edit from here. So you just right click and edit. Like for example, DB Connect edit, and straight away you can just edit this alive. Okay, so now you can see that the database information is already there, everything is already there. So set up everything ready. But I'm going to remove the database once again, and then recreate a database with this new information, just to show you how to create the database. All right, so definitely later on I'm going to change all this information. All right, so now once you are ready with your database application, your database file folder, what you need now is your database. All right, so before that, let me just do something first. I'm going to delete the database first, and then we're going to work from there. What's the database? There's so many database already. My database, my pasa. This is the latest one. New my pasa. So I'm going to delete all this, right? I'm going to delete this user first. Go back. And then I'm going to delete also the database itself. Okay, because the database already created for you. So you need to see how the database. This is the one. So I'm going to delete this. Go back. And then I'm going to delete the user. Pasa. All right, this one. This is the user that I created. So I'm going to delete this also. There's so many things already there. All right, so deleted all my database content and whatnot. So if I try to run this, so let me just try to run this. So you're going to see problems, okay? Click on buyer. There you go. All right, stacking error. This username information access, that's no longer accessible. Can no longer access my database because it's no longer there. Okay, so you're going to end up with error. Okay, you're going to end up with error, definite error. Okay, so how do we deal with that? First thing first, we're going to create our database, right? So we're not going to create our database here. To create, oh, sorry, I should not go to there. Go back to log in my cPanel. All right, so to create database, you cannot simply go to phpMyAdmin. Okay, you cannot simply go to phpMyAdmin here, because usually if you want to create a database, you can just go to the local host and then go to the phpMyAdmin. You can just create a database there. In real development, you cannot create a database here. Okay, not with cPanel. Okay, because cPanel, you cannot create your database because you need to provide all the database credential, which is not available here. As you can see, there's no database creation here. All right. So to create database for the first time, you need to access these two, either MySQL database, but this is manual process. But usually for new database, you can just use this wizard, which is much, much easier. All right, to create database, the first thing you need to create a database, provide database name. All right, so in any web hosting, usually for JomHosting, the new database will always start with your ID, your portion of ID. So like mine, Slumber 6. Okay, yours might be different. So you need to make sure that your database start with that. So let's say I'm going to give the names a new MyPasa V2. All right, so this is new, no longer there. So you need to make sure that your database name information here basically defined as slumber 6 underscore new MyPasa V2. So that's basically set your database name. Okay, so do that first and then create database, follow next step. So now you can see you have created a database named number 6 new MyPasa V2. So the database is already there. Now you need to create the database user. Okay, you need to create database user. So to create database user, you can use existing user or you can create database. Usually we create one user for one database or the admin of the database. So for this, so I'm going to use so new database user. So this is basically the same with this. So username now you need to change. Before this you use root, right? Now you need to make sure that you have to define your database username. So I'm going to create new database username, the same with this. So this is the username now. Always start with number 6, new MyPasa user. So the password, I'm going to use the same password with this. I don't want to change that. So this is the password, or you can just generate the password. Okay, so I'm going to use this password and this password. So you can see that this is very strong password, or you can use the password generator, but always save the password and make sure you save the password here, right, as a database password. And create user. So once you have this, you have your database user and database, the database itself. Usually, I just allow this user to have all the database privileges. All right, so to drop table, select, trigger, update, so whatever the database admin power given to this guy. And then just make changes. All right, so now the database is ready, is available. All right, so how do we do that? How do we view that? You can just go back to your PHP MyOffice. You can just always go back to your PHP MyAdmin. PHP MyAdmin, which is here. And access your new database, which is new MyPasa V2 here. All right. So now you have your database ready, your database user also ready, but you don't have any tables here. Okay. Either you want to create manually one by one, which is kind of stupid. You can just go back to your localhost database, but I already have that, and then you can just export your database, which I already have. So you just export the database from your localhost. Let me just, but I need to turn on my XAMPP for this to work. All right, so let me just show you so that you have reference for this. Okay, turn on your database. Turn on your XAMPP. Start here. Start this. All right, which is make sure that both services turn on, and then go to your local host, and then go to your PHP MyAdmin, and then go to your database here. Okay, so you have your database here, and then you want to export this database to your server. So all you have to do is just press export here, and then just take everything, press export button. It will automatically download that SQL file, which is by default will always mine because I already have Heady SQL. So you have this file in your download folder, right? So done with that. So I'm going to stop this because this will require memory. But believe me, in your download folder here, you have your database file there. I already downloaded it yesterday, MySQL, mypassword2_db.sql. So this basically contains a full SQL statement to create the database and to insert all the data. So at the moment, we don't have any data. Even though if you run this, you cannot get it to run because there's no data, there's no table, there's nothing here. To import, all you have to do is just go to import button, import tab, and choose the file and select the SQL. Let's say you want to take this one, should be the same, should be no problem. And then open, you have the file there, and just go. Okay, you wait for a while until the import completed. Now it's there. Okay, so you need to make sure that there's no red section here. It's all green, so which is good. Okay, which is all good. And now you can just go back to your structure tab. And now you see now you have your table. Okay, so if you check inside, basically contain all the data. And if you go to the products, also contain all your data. Okay, browse, table products is all there, which is very easy, very, very convenient in terms of development. Okay, so now you have your database, everything is ready, your database connector is ready, and you can test the database connector by using the slumberger.com, the mypasa v2, and then php/gb connect.php. So you can just enter this. It should return nothing. Means that it is connected and the database is working with no problem. And then you are now sure that your database is working. Okay, so you can just reload again. And then wait for your application to reload. Okay, so reload failed because I've changed the password, so that's why I cannot get to, or able to download. So now you can see this is unregistered user, definitely, because I've changed the password to a different password. And now I need to retrieve back the old password, but it should be no problem. Now you can see that the application is now working. All right, it basically works with no problem, and you can install this on your phone and it will work. All right, it will work. And even if I give you the APK file, you install this on your phone, definitely will work. All right. Now, if I go to the profile, I try to log in again. Yes. And then I can see that the password should be ABC123 only. So remove 3 password. But this I'm not quite sure what is this. This is hardware, keyboard hardware error. So it's not supposed to happen. I'm not quite sure what's the reason behind that. But should be no problem. Just continue running, and then maybe somewhere or bug in the application. Okay, so try to log in. Okay, so now you can see that the status login, and then I can access my profile. I can update my names and whatnot. So those are basically now the application is now alive. The back end of the application is now alive and can be accessed anywhere without having to turn on your XAMPP. Okay, no longer required XAMPP. Your database is alive, your application is alive. You don't have to worry about your local host is not working. All right, but definitely there's a cost there that you need to spend. So this is an investment, as I mentioned, investment, and make sure that you have your back end ready. There's only small code changes required. You can see there, database connector, create your database, import your database, and then just change your server config here to your server directory. That's all. That's it. Okay, very simple actually. If you are able to get used to the server side or server manage your own server. All right, so I think that is for the recorder. I think that's for the recording. It is more than enough, and I'm going to share this later on with you. All right, so I'm going to end the recording now.